All right. So yeah, today's session is about building your online presence, specifically on Instagram, but we'll be talking about many different principles and strategies that are really applicable to any online platform, whether you are a blogger, you have a YouTube channel, you have any other social media channels. It will still be applicable to some level. But of course, we'll be talking specifics in the context of Instagram. And I'll share with you kind of my journey from really starting from scratch with zero, like everyone else, and what helped me to get to more than 200,000 amazing people, amazing community, fans of sketching and architecture, and all that organically without really paying for any ads. So a little bit about me. Ashley mentioned it. I just want you can read it probably by yourself. I'm an architect. I love sketching. That's all I do in the Sketch Like an Architect project, which hopes to bring back some of the values and benefits of analog hand sketching, but also digital sketching in today's era. But I wanted to mention that I'm not a marketer. I'm not a social media manager. I haven't done that before. I'm just a creator, I guess, just like most of you. And I just found that Instagram was a great tool and has been a great tool for me to spread the message. It's a tool, and I like to approach it in that way and kind of show you or help you navigating the tool to really squeeze the most out of it, if you can. So what we'll be covering today, in a sentence, is basically how to build your online presence and get the attention and influence that you deserve. And in a little bit more detail, we'll talk my 7 secrets, which are divided into these categories. Really, what matters to your online presence? That's the kind of general level applicable to many different platforms. Then we talk nitty gritty stuff about hashtag strategy, why is that important, and how to make it work for you. What I think is actually a quality content on Instagram. And we'll dive even into very insights, analytics, specific examples of some of the best performing posts and why they worked and what they were actually able to help me achieve beyond just Instagram, right? And because we are now in what is it, September 2021, and there's been a lot of discussion about, is Instagram still a thing? Is it dead? We'll tackle that towards the end as well. So I'll give you my honest opinion. I'll give you examples again that I tested out, whether Instagram is dead or not yet, or is it dying, or we'll talk about that. This is just a sneak peek about one of the best post analytics, and is here to show you that even with simple photos or images, maybe carousel images, uh, you can get extreme reach on Instagram and extreme action from your audience. This is just, we'll dive very, very deep into this one. But you can see, even though I think I had around 100,000 followers back then, I have the reach of more than 900,000 people, and there was 3,000 website clicks almost. So whether you want to really drive traffic to your website, to your YouTube, to maybe your products, services, anything else, Instagram is a great tool for that as well. And I'll show you why this worked and how it was actually designed to work. It was not just some random tactics. So, as all the good stuff, this workshop is not for everyone. But if you want to grow your audience, maybe to establish a personal brand, get your work or your company out there, and kind of become a go-to authority in your niche, whatever it is you are doing, and get more leads, sales, and generally drive more traffic, then this will be perfect for you. But if you're hoping to get some, magic trick, some silver bullet that would solve everything for you, I can't offer that really. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in many shortcuts. It's gonna be more about long-term strategies that actually work, uh, without really being dependent on any current trends or anything like that. So I hope that it resonates with you. And to start things off, I always want to know for my live audience, where is it that you're at right now? How many followers do you have right now? What's the starting point for you today, right now? All right, let's get into it. I wanted to share, I guess, one of the very first posts that I made, and you can see that it's actually from the end of 2016. And there is, like, from very skeptical point of view, from very strict point of view, there is nothing correct about this post. It's not in Square, it's not native to the platform, it has no hashtags, it has no geolocation, no caption, no nothing, you know. But it was still one of the first things, the first step, the baby step that started the whole journey. And if you're here doubting yourself, you don't need to. Everyone starts somewhere, and my beginnings were not something extra, you know. But jumping forward to this day, maybe those 3 to 4 years forward, and having more than 200,000 followers, it it opened door for me in many cases, and it brought opportunities. I think that's the strongest influence that my online presence had. So I had the chance to speak at conferences about my project. I also speak at universities to architecture students, and we've had that. I think it was Andrea in the comments about she's an author publishing books. She's a published author, and I actually started my journey with self-publishing my ebooks into printed books. And thanks to my online presence and thanks to Instagram, I got them trending as #1 new releases on Amazon, which is just super exciting for me. And it happened again with the second book. And with my third book, which is traditionally published with a major American publisher, I've been actually able to negotiate a better deal. As you probably know, everything in life is kind of a negotiation. And this publisher reached out to me with a great proposal. It was a great fit. And I liked the deal, but I wanted to try to negotiate. So I said, hey, look, I've already self-published 2 books. They were great success. They were trending on Amazon. I have this amount of audience that are a great fit for what we're trying to do here. This is my reach. I could show them analytics that I could reach hundreds of thousands of people. And let's say I want a better deal. And I've set really a list of pretty solid arguments with from past experience, past achieved results. And I was able, actually, thanks to my Instagram presence, negotiate a 30% better deal than what was offered in the first place. So building your online presence is a lot about having that leverage, having that social proof that you can use to achieve better and bigger things. This is a great way how to build your community and how to leverage it to actually ask your audience to help you with your book launch. Fantastic. Another, probably the biggest way, the biggest important part of having an audience is that audience itself, is the community, and how you can serve them, how you can help them in their endeavors. So I'm very blessed to have amazing people in that community, engaged, grateful for my teachings, and just overall engaged audience that is really great fans, not only of me, but generally of sketching and architecture, and we are on the same page. So I want to start with what really matters to your online presence. And I want to start with the fact that getting followers is not the goal. It shouldn't be a goal for you. You shouldn't go into Instagram with that goal in mind that you want to have XYZ amount of followers, because they are not the goal and they have never been. And I want to illustrate it with a quote by Seth Godin, who you might know. He says, the Mona Lisa has a huge social media presence. That's correct. She's big on social media because she is an icon, but she's not an icon because she's big on social media. So I let that sink in. The point of this is that you should be always trying to do something much bigger than just growing a following. And that the actual following is a byproduct of you being on your mission, you working towards your bigger goals, and kind of doing the more important thing than asking people to follow you. Because if you're on the journey and you're doing great thing and you share it in the process and you document the process and you share it maybe on Instagram, people who will resonate with you, they will follow you naturally. So really getting followers is more of a byproduct than the goal itself. The goal is probably something bigger, something that is related to your vision, to your mission, right? So that's why I think it's really, really important to start with why. Start with why is a kind of slogan from Simon Sinek, or Simon Sinek really popularized starting with why. And I wanted to share with you an example of my why. And it's a very simple and short definition of a designer. I'm an architect, I'm a designer, and I really like this definition, which says that a designer is someone who solves a problem and communicates that solution. And I think it's super true. In a short sentence, it makes total sense to me. And I've kind of, from my experience, I've learned that being able to communicate and being able to use sketching both in the design process as well as communicating the results is so important, ultimately important skill even in 21st century. So part of this became one of the core values for my sketch like an architect projects, that even though there is so much technology that we use as architects and kind of overshadowed the traditional sketching, I'm trying to bring some of the values and benefits of that back. Now, defining your niche is the second step. You probably heard about it. What is niche or niche? Depending where you're from. It's basically an area of interest. And since we're talking about the context of Instagram, Instagram has always been a very visual platform as opposed to some other ones like Twitter. So ideally, if your niche can be represented strongly in a visual way. Popular niches, like pretty much general, include fitness, luxury lifestyle, beauty, fashion, travel, business, all of that stuff. So there are really big niches, and you want to dive into kind of your very defined, focused sub niche. So it should be big enough, meaning that it's fruitful enough. There's enough people interested in your niche, but specific enough so it's not too broad or too vague. And here's a little diagram that hopefully will help you with defining your niche if it's not defined yet. And it should lie on the intersection of your passion and your expertise. That's where I believe your ideal niche lies. So I'll share with you again my example. My example is architectural sketching, and I want to just demonstrate that it's not architecture itself, that's too broad, and it's not sketching or drawing itself, that's broad again as well. So it's something in between, and actually architectural sketching is a type, it's a very characteristic style of sketching that is mostly used by architects and designers, but maybe also urban sketchers these days. So it's kind of specific enough to have its own niche. So what kind of goes hand in hand with your ideal niche is your target audience. And excuse me, I wanted to start with a simple statement that there is really no point in trying to please everyone. You are not here for everyone. Your work is not here for everyone. Your value is not here for everyone. Not everyone will appreciate it, and that's absolutely okay. So the more niched and focused you can get, the actually better. So it's about attracting the best people for you and repelling the rest. You don't want people that are not really attracted and that resonate with what you say, with your values, that are not on the same page. So here are some of the things and suggestions that you could do on Instagram to really get to know your audience even better. And you can engage with your community, reply to their comments, follow them when they follow you just because you want to learn more about them, discuss more details in the DMs, direct messages. It's so powerful because it's one-on-one and people really open up. A lot of Also, coaching clients come to you via DMs. I have my own experience with it. Many other coaches kind of close those clients via DMs when you have a little bit of conversation and you get to know them better. Maybe you jump on a discovery call. A lot of it happens via DMs. And of course, you can leverage stories, ask questions, create polls to ask your audience, and again learn more about what they want, what are their preferences, what is their worldview. So hopefully that will help. Basically, you want to get personas defined, which is basically a combination of demographics, like who is it, how old, female or male, where are they based, what job do they do, stuff like that, plus psychographics, which are, I guess, even more important. And there are things like what are their dreams and hopes, what on the opposite side, what are they struggling with, what are their fears and doubts and objections. So you want to kind of know these things for your ideal audience so you can craft the best type of content for them. And yes, it's a long-term process, at least for me. And I think it really requires mainly two things, which is empathy and care. So moving on with the value you provide, Ashley kind of touched on this point with what is the valuable content that you can provide. And I want to give you 3 hints which work really great, and it's been already tested thousands of times on different formats across all the internet. Is that ideally your content will consist of at least one, but ideally it will combine all 3 of these categories, and it's entertainment. So your content will be entertaining, it will be educating, it will be sharing useful information, and at the same time it will be inspiring or motivating. And if you can really put these 3 values into a single piece of content, it's going to be amazing. And of course, these things, you will find out that something works better than other. With some type of content, your audience resonates better. So it's always about trying, experimenting, and optimizing as well. My example is architectural sketching, but I don't want to show you just architectural sketches and say, hey, look, I made a nice sketch. I don't think there's enough value in that. I always want to show you what's behind that sketch, how it was made, maybe show you a step-by-step drawing process which you can replicate, or give you some tips on perspective so you can get better for your own illustrations. That's what I try to put in most of my posts and content online. I stole this. Actually, you can see the credit at the bottom. Kindness, it doesn't cost a damn thing. Sprinkle that everywhere. It's a lot about, again, care, empathy, and kindness. Just being kind to one another, even though it's online. We are still the same people, and people, still can get hurt, even though it's online. So moving towards more nitty-gritty stuff, hashtag strategy. Probably I'll skip over these. You know what are hashtags, searchable words or phrases. Instagram was not the first one to use it, but it was very much built on hashtags. And one of the big questions is how many to use? Should I use 1 or 3 or 5, 10 or 30? There was a maximum of 30 hashtags per post, meaning the main feed post. And I've been using the max amount 30 pretty much ever since. And it always has worked magic for me. So I did the research. We'll talk about how to find those which are relevant to your niche, but I've always been using 30 hashtags or maybe 29, 28 just to fly under the radar. But 30, never had a problem with that either. So it's important to know there are different types of hashtags. And one way of differentiating between them is, I'll skip in here, is actually how much reach those hashtags have, whether they are used in just a few posts or more posts, or they are very generic and they are used in maybe millions of posts. So here we have a example of my own very own branded hashtag, which is on the very right hand side, sketch like an architect. I've created this one. It's for my community, it's for my posts. it's also how I connect with my tribe, my people. But it's been used. If you click on it now, I think it has like over 30,000 posts, but it's still kind of the low reach hashtag. The middle reach hashtag, like ArchiSketcher, has hundreds of thousands of posts, and it's much more widely used. And then there we have really high reach hashtag, very generic, such as sketching or drawing. It would be used in millions and millions of posts. And what you want to do is to research these relevant hashtags in all these three categories and combine a nice cocktail from them. So it's a nice balance between low reach, middle reach, and high reach hashtags. Let me tell you why. If you used only the highest reach hashtags, it's nice. You can theoretically reach really big amount of people, but at the same time, you'll be competing against everyone, and it'll be really hard to stand out. So what you're looking for is a nice, balanced, unique mixture of all these three types in your posts. And where you can find them, obvious choice is Instagram search tool. That's for one. Another one is actually look and follow your own audience and see what they are using, so you can connect them and you can kind of meet them where they are. And on the opposite spectrum is to analyze influencers in your niche. We're getting back to our target audience, back to our niche. So you can analyze, let's say, 5 top influencers in your niche and see what they are using to get inspiration from. So hashtag strategy is something very important, but at the same time, it's something that is very measurable or trackable, and therefore it's manageable, right? So you can test these, optimize, and repeat. You can keep it in a spreadsheet on your notepad, somewhere where it's easy for you to copy it from, and you can always reflect on those every week, 2 weeks, every month, and try to experiment. All right, I'll take one more sip. I hope you're doing great. I'm covering a lot. We're still scratching the surface from what's actually in my course, but I want to give you as much as possible in that, let's say, 1 hour that we have together. So in the next phase is what I think makes a quality content. And obviously it's aesthetics. We are talking about visual platform like Instagram. So again, keeping the context in mind. We are on Instagram. This is not Twitter. This is not something else. We are on Instagram. So aesthetics is obviously important. I want to spare a few more moments in this one. Shareability. What does it mean? Shareable content is the one that gets viral because it gets shared more and more. And what does it mean to be shareable? Shareable means two things. One, it is relatable for your target audience. And to give you an example, for instance, I'm an architect, I'm a designer, I've studied architecture, and there is really a toxic culture of a lot of pressure, pulling off all-nighters and this kind of stuff. And that is very relatable to other architecture students because they know what you're talking about, like being really tired, exhausted, lack of sleep, a lot of pressure from your maybe peers, maybe professors. That's relatable. So you can always look to your role or position to kind of see where the common characteristics are. So that's one thing. And the other thing is originality, in a sense that it's your own spin on things. It's your own take on that topic. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you just take your own spin on topic that is out there. Combined with the relatable approach, it gets really shareable. Again, we talked about bringing value, education, entertainment, motivation. It's engaging. One thing to note here is use the caption on Instagram posts and use it more as a start of a conversation rather than a statement. You want to ask a question, or maybe you want to say a related story to that picture that is so much more engaging than just, hey, here's the newest picture I drew. nice, but let's talk more, right? So a little bit of more love to the captions will always help with its engagement. It's great to share behind the scenes, document your work, document how you create things. It's always fascinating, at least for me, but I believe for so many people, to see how things are created. So share behind the scenes. And don't forget about uh, the context where you're in, about creating native pieces of content, meaning either square posts or slightly higher posts, 4:5 ratio, 9:16 ratio for stories, all the time specific for videos. Maybe for reels it's either 15, 30, or now it's 60 seconds in some countries. So keep these in mind when you're creating your content for Instagram. And also be aware of the mindset that people are in on Instagram, because they're in different mindset than when they are on Facebook. Because maybe on Facebook they have mostly their friends and family in there. It's a different mindset when they are on LinkedIn, because that's very business related and they are kind of searching for maybe a new job. So on Instagram, they are looking for maybe inspiration, maybe tips and tricks, maybe some fun. So they are in different mindsets. So keep that in mind, again, native to the platform. Now we want to dive into your bio, your profile, which is basically your landing page, and how to get most out of it. So this is an older screenshot, as you can see, but the structure is still the same. You have two names on Instagram. One is the handle, the username, in my case, David_Drazil. And the other name, the Instagram name, which is actually searchable, is Sketch Like an Architect. And now I think the algorithm can search both these names. So it's really useful to differentiate between them. Maybe in the handle, say your name, and maybe in the Instagram name, say what you do. Maybe you're a coach. Maybe you're a painting artist. Maybe you're someone else. But people might search for painting or for coaching, business coaching. So try to include these keywords so you are more discoverable. Then in the main part of your profile, in your bio, share who you are in a sentence and what people can expect when they decide to follow you. Because profile is where they decide to follow you or not. So give them a hint what they might expect. It's always good. And you have also an opportunity to use call to action to give them some specific call to action to click on your link, download a freebie, go to your website, visit your YouTube channel, whatever it is. There are a lot of clicks and a lot of traffic going through here. All right. And then at the very bottom, highlighted stories from something, you can divide it into categories or something really memorable that happened in stories and you want to keep it for everyone that visits your profile, something about you, your work, whatever it is. So maybe your products, your services, your offerings, maybe your different online platforms, whatever it is, you can, and you want to keep it kind of handy and eye-catchy on your profile as Instagram stories highlights. All right. And now let's go through a content typology kind of checklist. When you make a post, it's best when you make the most out of it in including all of this information. With all of this information, you are teaching algorithm the important things that it should know about you, your post, your work. Again, it's more searchable. So it's really important to give it enough and as much information as possible. So definitely don't forget about geolocation at the very top. Make it a native square or 4:5 ratio post, so it takes a bigger portion of the screen. You can tag relevant curating pages that are likely to reshare or repost your work. Then we talked about caption, we talked about being engaging. In this case, there is a quiz question. So again, the question gets answered in the comments, which is more engagement. it all helps your post reach more people. If it's the case, you can credit the source of inspiration, and you can include your branded hashtag. And then I usually visually separate the rest of the 30 hashtags. And you can see that there was 70 plus comments because people are answering the question from the caption. And it's been really successful post, and this is just one of many. But if you follow this kind of structure, you'll get the most out of your every post. So that's important. Okay, and of course, you always want to reply to the comments. And now I want to share with you one of the best performing posts and the insights behind it, and actually tell you why it worked and how you can replicate it for your own posts. So this is the post, this is the cover, and you can see it's quite simple. It's kind of in my branded colors, simple graphics, and it has a text which catches your eyes, and it says how to place people. You probably might know how to place people, but then I say what you're doing wrong, which is I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm just trying to be incentivizing people. Okay, here's something you might learn, and I show a little don't do this and do this, don'ts, do's and don'ts type of graphic. So it's engaging, it grabs attention right away. It's important. And then it's a carousel post. So in this case, there were 8 pictures, 8 slides, and this is how it looks. So it was a cover, and then what's wrong, what can be better, what's wrong, better, wrong, better. And I always explain why I think this is not as good and why I think this might be better. So I'm not trying to be, very preachy about, hey, this is wrong, don't do this. I'm trying to explain my point of view. This is not as good because XYZ, and this is better because XYZ. So this is the main stuff, the main value. And at the very last slide, I include call to action. So in this case, it's very relatable. The post talks about people. I include these people in all the posts, and then I share a freebie that you can download these same people silhouettes to use it in your own illustrations. And this whole model follows a simple ADA model or principle that is, it's kind of a very old marketing principle that can be used in different formats. It can be used in video, it can be used in email marketing, and can be also applied to Instagram context. And what it stands for is attention, interest, desire, and action. And this is basically how it is distributed across those 8 up to 10 images which you have in your carousel. So you grab the attention with the cover, then you build more interest and desire, and at the end you have clear call to action. And I want you to show, and I want you to focus on some of the important numbers. Yes, it has many likes, 22,000, and many even more saves and a lot of shares. That's the kind of engagement metrics at the very top. But what was more important for me back then was that the website clicks were almost at 3,000. 3,000 website clicks, almost 3,000 new email subscribers who downloaded my freebie. That's a big number, especially for someone who is in online business. That's a lot of new leads. So that's great traffic. And actually, the amount of people that I reached was 9 times more than I had the number of following. So the organic reach was very great. And there was, more than 4,000 people followed me just based on this post. 4,000 people from one post. So this whole post was designed to work. And these are some of the results. And I'll be honest, it didn't take 5 minutes for me to create this post. I think it took like 2 to 3 hours to create this post. But at the end, it was well worth it for me. So this is just one of the examples how you can leverage Instagram for whatever your bigger goal is. And now I want to actually, acknowledge the elephant in the room. So is Instagram dead now? You might know this. In June, the head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, he announced that Instagram is no longer a photo sharing app, that it will focus a bit more on video content. And a lot of creators kind of took their spin on that. And I want to show you some tests that I did after this was announced. And purposefully, I didn't share a video reel that should be more, as they say, more pushed outwards. But I shared a simple carousel post with only 4 images, no AIDA principle, no call to action, nothing. And these were the results. And you can see at the very bottom, I don't know if you can see that, but it's August 5th. So it's like 1 month ago, way after Instagram is no more a photo sharing app. And even though, yes, the organic reach should be decreasing and all that stuff, and algorithm is changing all the time, these are the results. I shared 4 images, kind of before and after, kind of 10-year challenge between my drawings 10 years ago and now. And look at the Instagram engagement metrics. Almost again 20,000 likes, a lot of saves, and probably double the impression that my following is right now. I have around 200,000 people, right? And the impressions were 400,000. And the actually unique accounts were 382,000. So that was very recent. So if you're scared that you don't want to create reels, you don't want to create video, and you think, okay, Instagram is no more for just photos and normal static pictures, I think that's wrong. I think it still works. Maybe just video is a little bit more trendy now, but it's more about a long-term game for me. So even though it's just basic pictures, I wrote quite a long caption for this, basically my 10-year story in the caption. So that was engaging, I guess. It still works, and still new people can discover you even now. And here's one more example from not me, so I don't present all the time myself, but this is from another Czech artist, Sylvie Mahdal, she has over 1 million followers. She's amazing. She do a lot of charcoal and pencil drawings, and this was a reel, this was a video, and she was kind enough to share with me the insights, because this one video of her reached more than 22 million people. And that's, again, recent. It's few weeks back, and it's still getting more traction. And now I think you can see the screenshot on the right-hand side. It has over 3 million likes, and that's, again, very recent news. And it is amazing even for Sylvia, because she has, let's say, only 1 million, but this was reached by, or it reached more than 22 million people. Like, crazy numbers. I know, crazy numbers, even way for me, crazy numbers. But, Instagram, I think these are some of the examples that just say and state that Instagram isn't really dead. It is evolving, it is changing like everything else in our lives, but it is definitely not dead. At least that's my opinion, and I'll be happy to discuss more. All right, so just to wrap it up, my top 10 rules, I go through them very quickly because we are getting a bit long, but some of the things that we covered, there's obviously so much more in the full course, but it's just not enough time to cover in a 45-minute session. I hope you got as much out of it as possible, no matter whether you will want to go deeper or not. But yeah, I hope that you can read it. So I'm not going to go over every point. You can screenshot it if you like, but it's kind of general lessons learned from a few years on Instagram now.